This is my gin. Now, it says James Gin. It's mine. It's not just a generic gin that I've slapped my name on for marketing purposes. It's really mine. I invented it. I ought to know how it's made, and I do. And so should you. Now, keen followers of the fortunes of James Gin will remember that back when we started, we made our very first batch of Asian parsnip here in Hugh's freezing cold shed, and we labelled it using the patented labellizer by hand. The flap is lifted up, the bottle is inserted. You find the seam, line the seam up with the flap, and then with the two pencil marks, thank you, you align the back label, thus roll it round, make sure it's pressed down with a little crease in it for authenticity. Thank you very much. Flap down again, find the opposite seam, line that up. The labellizer is a remarkable, it's like a CNC milling machine. That's fantastic. Almost as collectible as number one. As a result of your enthusiasm, all that has changed. Follow me. When I come up with an idea for a new flavour, this California Dream Gin, for example, I take it to Hugh. Morning.
Morning.
I've had an idea, and I want to see what you think. What I'd love to do is a vegan gin.
Let's do it.
And a few weeks later, he invites me down to his freezing shed to try some ideas. That's pretty nice. Blimey, it's very mushroomy.
I think that is delightful.
Excuse me. This generally takes some time. I thought you were going to say it smells of sausages, which would be very inappropriate. Yes. That's better. I still think it needs a little bit more mushroom as well. Eventually, we agree on the recipe, and he makes up a sample in his 3-litre test still. 5,000 litres of that, please, Hugh, by Friday.
What could possibly go wrong?
Hugh's micro distillery is perfect for engineering our ideas, but it's far too small for the quantities we now need to produce. Making the batches of 20,000 bottles we need would take him about 3 years, so the recipe has to be scaled up at Thames Distillers in London, where they've been doing this since the 18th century. This process is not straightforward and again requires multiple trials before being signed off. Once it is, the concentrated distillate is sent to deepest Essex. Now the distillate arrives here at the gin factory, and in that state it's a very, very dangerous liquid. The tanker driver has to be specially trained. It has been described, the area where it lives, as more explosive than a fireworks factory. And that is then blended with the neutral grain spirit and water to bring it to what we call bottle strength. Now that happened yesterday, and anyway, we're not really allowed to go near there. It's considered so risky, you're not even allowed to wear your wristwatch, because that could strike something and cause a spark and the whole place would go up. So now we're in the lab, and here we have a sample of the bottle strength mix in the brown bottle, and this can be compared with one of a known quality. This bottle of James Gin, which has effectively been approved by Hugh, and they will measure things like the ABV, all sorts of stuff that involves instruments and so on. And then, finally, and we will do this in another room, it is given approval by a process called nosing, which in the drinks business is a very posh way of saying giving it a sniff. So here in the nosing room we have essentially 2 glasses of gin. This one is from, again, a known quality. This is a recent James Gin Asian parsnip, so effectively approved by Hugh. And this is the one that's about to go down the line, and it is diluted from 40% to 20% alcohol by volume, because this brings out the organoleptics, which means you can smell them better. And this isn't just a matter of sniffing. You have to sniff with an educated nose, which I may not have, but the people who work here do. Yes, that smells like Asian parsnip to me. And this is the new one. Yes, that also smells like Asian parsnip to me. And there is a scoring system. It can actually be better than the original, in which case it scores a 5. If it is the same, which I believe that one to be, it would score a 4. If it was slightly less good, but only a little bit, it would score a 3. And then there's a 2, which is a fail. And the results are recorded here in the book in the morning and the afternoon. And the other thing you can do, and I'm going to do this now, is take a fresh pipette and extract just a tiny amount and dribble it on your tongue to taste it. Like that. Yes, nutty base flavors with a very spicy finish. That is Asian parsnip. Then they gradually add deionized water to bring the ABV, the alcohol by volume, down to 40%. It is now the finished product. It is James Gin. And deionized water, by the way, are you ready for this? Has no ions in it, because ions can affect the clarity and even the flavor of the gin. And there is a great deal of bollocks talked about water. Some people say, oh, our gin is made with shade-grown and line-caught Scottish spring water. Our gin is made with Essex water, which comes through pipes built by Victorian engineers. So it's better. This is where my gin is bottled, in the depths of Essex. Now, when I first came up with the idea of James Gin, Hugh said we might be able to sell 1,000 bottles. Today alone, they are making 20,000 bottles. 20,000 bottles of James Gin. The world is awash with it. At this end of the line, the naked bottles arrive and then they are air rinsed in this machine here. And I'm going to press the button because I like that sort of thing. And then they're placed on this conveyor, which conveys them to this machine, which fills 10 bottles at a time. It's about to do that. The next batch of 10 go in. There we go. How pleasing is that? That'll keep Richard Hammond going all afternoon. So the man places the cork in the neck by hand, but it's not fully secure yet. When it arrives here, it is stopped by that fence, and then the plunger rams it home. It's a fabulous sort of confluence, really, of hand skill, craft skill, and what Charles Babbage calls the unerring certainty of mechanical agency. And then it's labelled. I love this bit because look, here's the front label, as we call it, and on the other side of the line is the back label. And the great thing is the bottle arrives here. It's full of gin, it's corked, but it's unclosed. And once it comes out here, it's dressed and ready for some hot action. And moving down here, because the labels have been slapped on, down here is the bit that makes sure that they're pressed down. This machine sort of does that to the bottle. This is a new feature that we've introduced. It's a waxed cap. This is the waxed cap in its unshrunk form, which can just be dropped over the neck. And then down there, heat shrinks it around the neck very tightly, making sure also, of course, that the cork stays in place during transport. And this makes it look very classy, much better than, say, diddly squat gin, which just has a crappy little piece of sticky tape on it. Now, this is obviously packaging. The gin is going into boxes or cases of 6. It's also quality control. They check each bottle that the cork is in properly, that the wax is properly shrunk on, that the labels aren't peeling off, and that the batch number is etched on. Every single one individually checked before it goes in. And then down there is a machine that puts the sticky tape on the box, which is like a big version of the one you have on your desk in your office or at home, and it makes the same noise. It goes... It's fantastic. Come and see it. Somebody sample that. Look at this final label. USA stock. That's coming to you, Yankees. It's going to make everything better. When this pallet is full, which it will be any second now, it will hold 720 bottles in cases of 6. And a container, and we do ship containers of James Gin, will hold 10 of those. That's a lot of gin. How does it know? It's very, very important if you work here not to stand between the pallet and the machine. Otherwise you become wrapped integrally with it and you will end up somewhere else, in this case, California. Do you know, there is almost as much James Gin on that pallet as we thought we would ever make. And now it's forked off. Right, well, that's debrief and cocktails, everybody. Well, that brings us to the end of How It's Made James Gin. Now, when I first had this idea of making a gin for my pub, I thought it would be a pretty simple matter, really. But as you can see, it isn't. Nevertheless, thanks to everybody in Wiltshire, in London and Essex, my local produce is now the gin of the people. You are, by the way, part of the people, so get it bought.